We've got the Bills and the Chiefs in the AFC, the Bucks and the Packers in the NFC. And we're going to start with the NFC here. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. We got the battle of the GOATs. Joe, the biggest takeaway or evaluations of the Packers and the Bucks performances last week? Give them to me.
Packers. Well, to be fair, both of them went against top 5 defenses in the league.
Yeah.
And both of them did score double digits on both of them.
Both over 30. 30 or above.
Yeah. I was expecting that from the Packers. Bucks, I wasn't expecting that, really. Honestly, I think Packers showed that they are the better team in the NFC and against the Rams D. Now the offense, I mean, the Rams offense, with Jared Goff with the hurt thumb and all that, like being able to get 18 points.
Yeah, it was 18.
Yeah.
Goff had 1 touchdown, 174 yards, and then Akers ran for 90 and a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, that's not that. Those stats aren't impressive, like for Goff. They just got to work on their defense. But I think they have the championship in the bag.
Really? You think it's going to be that? Do you think it's close?
Yeah, I think it'll be like. I don't think it's going to be a 3-point game. I think it's going to be like a touchdown game. But
Yeah, and we can get into predictions in a sec. Here's what I'll say about that. I think the Packers are clearly the better football team. I don't think anyone's disputing that. But the Bucks game from last week is evidence the better team doesn't always win. The Saints were a better football team than the Bucks. Maybe the Bucks were playing better and more cohesive at the right time, and the defense made some huge plays. But let's be honest, both of us said we thought the Saints were going to win. For me, I do think that the Packers are suited to win this game, but it's not going to be easy. And we can talk about the matchups and everything. The big takeaway I'll have here, the Packers were great. They looked phenomenal. There were times where they didn't put the game away, but again, they're playing against a top 10 defense, so I can't really complain. I remember they had one pretty bad, I don't know if it was a turnover or they punted, but they let the Rams get within 7 at the start of the 4th. The Rams actually had the ball with a chance to tie it, and Goff just didn't pull through. I think if Brady's in that position next week, it's a different story. But I'll say overall, the Packers were impressive. Obviously, we talked about they just gashed one of the best defenses in the league. Rodgers and Adams are on one. I mean, Adams had a solid game, but he was being marked by Ramsey, so what can you expect? And Lazard came up big. Lazard had the big drop. That's what I was referencing. Overall, though, I'm not too disappointed with the Packers. I thought they did what they were supposed to do at home. The Bucks, I was insanely impressed by. I thought Devin White looked like an absolute superstar. Not that he wasn't already. Obviously, that gave Brady short fields. Brady did a good job finishing drives. So, I mean, overall, just a pretty disciplined performance from the Bucks. I do think that the Packers are a better football team, like I said, but this game could get a little interesting. And if the Packers can't put the Bucks away like they couldn't put the Rams away in certain cases last game, it might be a different situation. I guess that's the way I'd evaluate it. Complex, circuitous explanation.
Yeah, I really don't agree with. I think Tom Brady could tie it. I don't think. I mean, he could finish it because if you give Aaron Rodgers the ball with any time left, that's game over.
I think more
it's the Hail Mary King right there.
I mean, to be fair, right? Let's be honest. Brady has the most game-winning drives in history. He's known.
But it's not game winning. You just said it's game time.
What I'm saying is, if it's in that position, do I still think the Packers could win the game? Absolutely. I'm just saying I think Brady would take advantage of being down 7 with the football.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. Joe, I got to ask you, though, what is your key matchup or X factor in this game? So you can either talk about a matchup you're interested in or a specific player you think needs to step up for either team to really get the edge in this matchup.
I think, honestly, Davante Adams, I mean, he's not the X factor. He's going to play great. We already know this. I think last week proved he can play with a top corner on him.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't that bad with Jalen Ramsey, and he's like top 5.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure his stat was the Packers were 1-5 when with Devontae and Aaron Rodgers when going up against a top 5 cornerback. So they just, just erased that, and they saw that and were like, yeah, no, we're not doing this.
We're not doing this game again.
Yeah, we're not gonna go 1-6. And I mean, who's he gonna be put on? Probably Davis.
Yeah, Davis has been playing well lately. He had a solid game last week or a couple days ago.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, there's a huge difference this season between Michael Thomas and Devontae Adams. I mean, and I honestly think Jalen Ramsey's better than Davis.
I agree.
So, I mean, that's just the best matchup you can have. You show you can play against a top 5 corner, and you're going against someone who's worse, but, still good. I mean, Carlton Davis might pull through and make some big plays, but,
I trust
Devontae Adams.
I got a key on both sides of the ball for you for the Buck, and it's like kind of an offense versus defense thing. So you got Zadarius Smith from the Packers, assuming he's healthy. I think he is, unless I've totally missed some piece of information. And if he can get pressure on Brady, that's going to be huge. Obviously, we know the way to beat Tom Brady is you get to him. The Saints didn't do that nearly enough last game, and Brady picked him apart in short field scenarios. And even he led some longer drives too. Just not. He did stall it a few times. I'll give him that. But
not to a touchdown though.
Yeah, I mean, he got some up to a field goal, and he would have had one to a touchdown. And Chris Godwin had a basic set of durability on the ground. But the other matchup for me, Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. Obviously, we know the way the Packers got smacked last time was because they controlled the run game. I think Ronald Jones had the big game against the Packers. Brady only had to throw for like 160 something yards in that game because they just kept feeding running backs the rock. Packers couldn't stop them. They ate up clock, and then the defense came up big against Rodgers. So it's the key for me is who can prey on the weaknesses better. Can they get pressure on Brady? Can Zadarius Smith and company do that? Or can Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones control the clock, control the tempo, set up big pass options for Tom Brady on big drives? That's the huge question for me. So those are my two kind of X factors, Joe. You got anything to say about that?
No, I got a question. Was that wasn't Ronald Jones' 90-yard touchdown game, was it?
I can't remember. No, I think that was the Panthers game. I think that was the Panthers game. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I definitely agree. But yeah.
All right. And then, Joe, now we move on to the last thing here. You kind of alluded to this. How do you see the game unfolding, and who do you have? I know you have the Packers. Why do you think that's going to happen?
I got the Packers mainly because of the offense and the Buccaneers defense. Not defense, but secondary, honestly.
Yeah.
I think they can hold Aaron Jones. But I don't think they can, stop. I don't see Aaron Rodgers making the same mistake twice.
I agree.
What did Aaron Rodgers end with this year for interceptions? He had 4 or something? 5?
It was very low, and I think 2 of them might have been against the Bucs.
Yeah, 2 of them were against the Bucs. So he's only gotten 3 other interceptions in the course of the season. I don't see him making mistakes like that again. I don't think a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers is going to do that. I think I mean Green Bay and by 7, but it's going to be closer than people think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tight. The matchup does not favor the Packers at all. Their pass rush it's okay, but with an improving Bucs O-line that just held off one of the best pass rushes in the league in the Saints last week, that doesn't bode well. And then obviously the Packers run D has been a problem for a lot of the year. I think it's gotten better, but if Ronald Jones and Fournette have their way, that could be a totally different story. And the secondary is solid as well, but it's Tom Brady. If he has time to throw, I'm not worried about it. But I still say the Packers. I think it's going to be a high-scoring football game, but there's just too much firepower on that offense. You bring up a great point about the Bucs secondary. Rodgers is going to feast on it. And for me, even if they can't run the ball super well against that Bucs run D, I just see Rodgers being able to have a couple big plays to take the top off the game, and that's really going to be what delivers. there's so much firepower on that offense. And Devontae Adams was out the last time these two teams played, if I'm not mistaken, or he was at least hobbled. So I think that this is going to be a Packers win for me. And I think it's going to be tight, but there's too much weaponry on that Packers offense, and it's playing too well at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, it's important to, note that their defense has held in the last 5 weeks of the regular season. They only had one game where they allowed 20-plus points from the opponent. Now, granted, it was the Lions, but they held the Titans to 14. They learned from their last time playing the Bears and held the Bears to less points. And I think, the biggest showing for their defense and how it improved was the tight ends, even though they gave up. It was
also a blizzard, but yes.
Well, it's going to be 20 below. It's like
20 degrees.
20 below, basically.
20 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, 20 below. That's what I said.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Brady in cold weather. I'm more worried about his receivers. Gronk, not either, but we were having a conversation about this show. Mike Evans went to A&M. Chris Godwin hasn't played in the snow since maybe college, and I don't even know if he had a snow game at Penn State. And yes, and while it's important to note that weather isn't the sole basis of it, it's not a factor that favors the Bucs. They're a warm weather team. They have a quarterback who is used to playing in the cold, but they've actually had some drop issues of late, and they're going to be going to Green Bay where the football is going to be harder. Like, that's a relevant concern as well.
And I would kind of have a little bit of worry for Gronk because of his retirement. I mean, cold weather, playing in the cold, I mean, just doesn't stick with you unless you keep going, It's one of those things, it's not a memory in your bones, It's not muscle memory. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just have to see, but I think I'm in agreement with you. We both say Packers. I say maybe it's a little closer than a touchdown, but I still think the Packers are going to win that football game. All right, Joe. Next transition, the AFC Championship game. Before we even get into breaking this down, there's a huge elephant in the room. It's Patrick Mahomes in concussion protocol. Joe, for those of you who don't know, Joe is a former high school football trainer. He actually has 2 state championship rings because he was the GOAT trainer or something like that, right? Is that how that works?
No, because they give it to everyone.
Okay, that could also be a more. I was trying to hype you up, but yeah, sure. And Joe, so I just want to ask you, being the Gold Mine's resident medical expert, what do you think Mahomes' odds are of being available Sunday?
I think they're going to try and. Yeah, I think they're going to try and do it. I mean, they're going to try and clear him as quickly as possible. Now, if he is in the protocol, I'm pretty sure in the NFL it's 10 to 14 days. But
or you have to pass 5 steps or something.
Yeah, and he did clear certain steps on Monday, and they're pretty big according to the I think their trainer there. But he is still in concussion protocol. I honestly, I mean, I didn't think it was a concussion when I saw it. I mean, it might have been he was just shaken up. I thought he was just shaken up. But if he's clearing steps this fast, then I mean, there's a good chance he's going to be playing on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about the medical terms of it. I have to read more up on concussion protocol. I know DeAndre Swift. I had problems with him in concussions this year in fantasy. Glad he's all right now. But I mean, yeah, I think the fact that he's cleared steps is definitely a good sign. I'd assume, would he have to technically return to practice at one point, or could he not practice all week and play?
I think you have to be limited for at least one day.
Okay.
Actually, I don't even think you do. I mean, I don't know, from the concussion protocol, but I mean, you don't need to practice for the whole week. I mean, you see teams just, taking players right before a game. I mean, but it's all down to the protocol. But there's optimism, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, Joe, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. You finish up.
He is expected to practice on Wednesday. So that is some good news.
I think that's probably your answer as well.
Yeah.
So, Joe, assuming that everything stays on track and Patrick Mahomes is playing football on Sunday, what are the Bills' odds of winning this game, and how can they do it?
I think their odds are the same as the Chiefs. I know, like, it's not. They're going up against one of the best teams in the league. They're going against the best team in the NFL. But first of all, you have Patrick Mahomes, who is coming off of a concussion. I mean, there is some psychological effects to that sometimes. Hopefully, there are none, but you never know with like injuries like these. But last time they played was this year in the regular season, and it was close when you're considering that Josh Allen was recovering from a left shoulder injury.
Yeah.
So I think their odds have increased since that game for sure. I think it's going to be, much tighter than than 9 points, which is how much Kansas City beat them this year. But I don't know. I'm gonna stick with Chiefs, but I hope the Bills win and go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, for my man Noah's sake, I hope the Bills win as well. I mean, he's been thrilled with what he's seen. I do think that the Chiefs will win if Mahomes plays. I think if he doesn't play, everyone in America is going to pick the Bills. But my logic on this is right. I mean, if he's already practicing, he'll probably be good enough to play football. Like, there's no I was watching a video on this when Swift was going through problems. Once you're playing, there's no limitation in terms of like limited reps or snaps like there would be on a leg injury or a knee injury or something like that. So he would be full throttle if he's good to go. I think just with him, the Bills secondary is good, but there's so many weapons, and the Bills run D is a problem. And the Chiefs, they aren't maybe the best suited to take advantage of that, but they're well enough suited to be able to get yards on the ground with Williams and Bell, and I think Edwards-Helaire. They said he might be back as well, depending on whether he's healthy. So I think they'd have enough to take advantage on the ground, have a balanced enough attack to keep the Bills off guard, put up more points than Baltimore certainly did this week.
Yeah.
I will say, though, there is a way the Bills win this game. I think that, for one, the Chiefs secondary, again, good, but Josh Allen's been playing at such an incredible clip. I think he could break him down. Who's going to stop Stephon Diggs is the huge question for me. Beasley's going to be good underneath, and they have corners that are solid, really, really good. But I think that it's a situation where Bills have a lot of weapons to take advantage of it. My concern is, can they gash Kansas City enough on the ground to keep them honest? Obviously, their run game of late has not been good all season, especially last week. They only had 25 yards on the ground on 7 carries from Singletary, and then 4 from Yeldon and 3 from Allen. So maybe you run some more option plays with Allen to get yards on the ground. But it's going to take a creative game plan. I do think Sean McDermott and Brian Daboll have that covered. I think that they're going to be really, really tricky. And manage to conceal some of their weaknesses, especially maybe on offense, not being best suited to take advantage of the ground game. I think that this game will be really tight. I think that there's definitely a path for Buffalo. I think they could win in a shootout, honestly. Both teams have so much firepower. And the Chiefs, low-key, the last few weeks, for their standards, have stalled out a bit on offensive drives despite their weapons. Granted, they were in cruise control for many of those few weeks, but you never know. I mean, this could get really, really interesting, and this will not be more than a 10-point game max. I think you're right, Joe. I think this is really, really tight.
Oh, hey. If you like watching this video, then watch the last video right here. And if you like the video, then subscribe by clicking this button right here.